Welcome back to another episode from Checking from Behind You Beauties. I'm Zach, as always, joined by Preston. We finally got NHL regular season meaningful hockey back with the Sabres vs. Devils in Czechia. Unfortunately for us, it didn't go our way. We got outscored 7-2. I believe it was a 4-1 in the first game. 3-1 in the second game. It was brutal to watch as a Sabres fan. Now, granted, you did bring something up in the Discord chat between me, you, and Chris about Devils are going to be a really good team, so don't stress about it. First 2 games of the season under a new coach at the same time.
I mean, I'm still stressing about it, though, because the Sabres look like shit.
Their power, I've never seen, the power play looked worse, and it was supposed to get better. I'm starting to wonder if that 2022-23 season was an outlier, and the last season and this season and the ones before is what really these players are.
I think it might have been an outlier for wins. I mean, I think the players are really that. I think Tage is really that good. Like Tuck, those guys are really that good.
Had a game. He had a good game, but he had a goal today.
Did you see that penalty they called in for goalie interference?
No, I was at work.
That was BS. The officiating was horrible today. So I didn't get it. So for those who aren't aware, technically the rest of the NHL season starts next week, but it started yesterday, October 4th, actually. The Sabres and the Devils are in Czechia for the NHL Global Series. So the Devils won yesterday 4-1. I wouldn't necessarily say they dominated the game, but Jacob Markstrom had a very good game.
He had a hell of that save that paddle save was crazy.
Save of the year candidate in the first period of the first game of the season. So the Devils get that Jacob Markstrom all year, they're gonna be scary.
I'm so glad for the Devils now. I hate it that it happened against the Sabres. Just be bad for 2 games against us. Like, it's not that hard. But because I'm on the Devils bandwagon, we'll get into it later when we have 2 guests on about our cup picks and everything. But overall, I thought the opening series in Czechia was good. You saw a high-flying Devils team against the Sabres team that was trying to find their footing. The Sabres looked a tad off. Like, it was like every pass was like a couple inches off to the left, to the right, centered. And there was one pass specifically that I remember yesterday where I believe it was Tuck, like right in between the hash marks, got a pass from below the goal line. He would have had an easy tap and goal, but the pass was inside of his skates, and he ended up getting it late.
I mean, it's the first couple games of the year. The Sabres and the Devils did kind of have a limited preseason. Mm-hmm. They had a limited training camp, especially the Sabres, because they got to Europe almost a week. No, not a week, but
like 6 days.
Few days before the Devils did, because they had to play an exhibition game in Germany against the Red Bull team in Germany. So they had an even shorter training camp than most, and I'm not making excuses for them. They still got outplayed. Their power play somehow got worse. So their power play was one of the worst in the league last year, and it might be that the Devils have a very good penalty kill, but the Sabres couldn't get into the zone at all.
I'm not taking too much away from this game, like from either side.
I think these 2 games say a lot more about the Sabres than the Devils.
You think so?
Well, the Devils dominated the Sabres today. Devin Levi.
But I think it says more about the Devils than the Sabres. I'm not going to be biased here because I think the Devils are one of the best teams in the league. Like, if they have Jacob Markstrom on his A game, now he's not going to be on his A game.
Well, they also are missing 2 good players, too. Pesce and Luke Hughes did not play.
Luke Hughes won't even be back until the end of October to mid-November. Brett Pesce is a day-to-day, week-to-week thing, so... I mean,
so they weren't even at full strength.
And the one defenseman who came in, Kovacevic.
Yeah, he played great.
He played great. Seamus Casey played great too for the Devils.
Did you see that goal he had today? It was a snipe.
No, I didn't see it.
It was power play. I mean, Levi didn't see it because they had a good screen, but like he had like this much room.
Was it their first goal?
Yeah, it was a rocket. It was no goalie was stopping that shot. It was a great shot, especially for a first NHL goal. But so I didn't get a chance to watch the game yesterday, but I did get to watch most of the game today. It started to get kind of uncompetitive in the third. That's when I kind of walked away. I had to get some stuff done because the game started at 10 a.m. in the morning here Eastern time. But I thought the officiating was pretty bad. I'm not sure if you saw that hit on JJ Peterka.
That was one of the only parts of the game I saw.
I don't know in what world that's not a major penalty. I mean, the guy clearly, Dylan, wouldn't say necessarily.
He's not a dirty player.
He's not the cleanest player, though. He's not afraid to be physical. But, hit shoulder right to the face of Peterka. You could say, okay, well, he wasn't trying to hit him in the head, but he still hit him face first.
Still hit. That's like I'm not even gonna make a comparison. Okay, actually, I am going to make it a hockey comparison. That's like saying somebody's trying to stick lift you, comes up high stick. Well, I didn't mean the high stick.
Well, no one ever means to do it.
Exactly.
I mean, it was a late hit too. Like Paterka had passed the
It was
puck up.
called an interference call.
Well, it was interference because he hit him
was.
late. You can also call it a charge.
Paterka wasn't even expecting to get hit. He just tried to get around the defender, and here comes Brendan Dillon.
Yeah, and he hits him right in the head. Probably has a concussion. Didn't come back to the game. But yeah, I didn't think the officiating was great for either side. I think both sides they missed calls. There were some calls that I didn't really agree with. Some of that me being biased because I'm a Sabres fan, but it was like this phantom call on Tage Thompson in front of the net for goalie interference, which I didn't really get. But overall, I thought the Devils looked really good. The one thing I will say for the Sabres is I thought Devin Levi looked awesome today.
He did.
He was the big reason why that game was even close because the shots were 37-18 Devils. So the Devils controlled most of the game. The Sabres had a strong start, but they couldn't keep it together.
The exact opposite of yesterday. Yesterday they were horrible in the first.
But yesterday
period.
they outplayed the Devils most of the game and they lost.
The first period they should have had at least one goal. The third period they should have had like 3 or 4 goals. The thing with the Sabres is I didn't watch much of today's game, but the first game they had glorious opportunities, miss net. Mm-hmm. It seems like the only guy who was hitting the net. Now I know the Sabres had 30+ shots yesterday, so he's not the only guy. But in contrast to everybody else, Dylan Cousins yesterday, now I'm not going to be biased because he's my favorite player on the Sabres, but he had opportunity.
Really?
Opportunity after opportunity to put it in the back of the net. Now he didn't, but instead of him trying to go top corner every time like half the roster does, he was just putting it on net. He was putting them low, and that's what I like to see. But at the same time, though, when you're causing turnovers and you're getting grade A opportunities, you have to bury it once in a while too.
Yeah.
So it's like great. You're getting shots on net compared to the rest of the team, but do something with the opportunities in a way. So it's like it's a positive, but at the same time, it's like you need to score in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like the Sabres didn't really get a ton of high danger chances. They weren't. It seemed like a lot of times they were shooting to shoot, like they weren't getting like shooting for rebounds, shooting low. Like
they weren't shooting the puck with purpose.
Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, it seemed a little like it didn't seem like everyone was on the same page. So, I mean, we could ramble on and on forever about this, but 2 games to start the season. Great weekend if you're a Devils fan. Sabres fans are already panicking. I see it online. The season's over. We should tank. It's 82 games. It's a long season. Anything could happen. But the Devils looked great. And like I said, if they can stay healthy, if they get Pesci and Luke Hughes back, this team's going to be scary.
They're going to be gross. And that ended off here. You guys ever heard of the 2018-19 St. Louis Blues?
Dude, it's 2 games.
I know.
It's 2 games.
So I want to move on to the 3 players that we that we need to watch this season.
Okay.
We have a collective list. You gave me the go on it, so I'm gonna list the players out, and of course we have honorable mention with Logan Stankoven. Anyways, but I think Stankoven is gonna have a huge year in Dallas. He had a good playoffs for them. When he got called up, I believe it was late February, early March, something like that last season. Had a good season for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Logan Stankoven is at least going to be a finalist unless something catastrophic happens or if for some reason he has a huge drop in play, which I'm praying to God doesn't happen. And he's going to be in there playing in the top 6, power play 2 minutes. He could start on the 3rd line potentially, but we know Dallas likes to roll 4 lines. They have the roster too.
Oh, they have the depth for it, yeah.
Correct. So he's going to be out there in situations. Dallas runs with the hot hand, obviously. They have their stars like Hintz, Heiskanen, Robertson that are going to be out there for everything, even their vets like Ben and like you're saying that are going to be out there situational. We know Jamie Benn is one of the best face-off guys in the league, so defensive zone draws, he's going to be there. But Logan Stankoven is going to provide offense for this team. Now, his percentiles, I looked at them earlier today going over this list, were not great. He was offensively wise, he was below 20, same with defense, but that's in the 24-game span. So
yeah, I think he'll be expected to do more this year. I think they're going to rely on the youngsters a lot this year if they want to win, because I think Wyatt Johnston and Stankoven are going to have to be great for Dallas if they want to win the Cup.
Yeah. All right, we're moving on to our number 3 player. We're going to go Jack Quinn of the Sabres. Now, Watching these first two games, he didn't look great, but the reason I put him on this list is because last season, in his limited time, I believe he was over a half a point per game, and also he was top 5 in the league in even strength points per 60 or something like that, over 2. He was next to McDavid. I think he had more than Pastrnak or Matthews or something like that. Some key names on that list, which is honestly kind of surprising to me. He had a good few games last season. It kind of sucked because he missed most of the season due to multiple injuries. Started the season with an injury, came back, got hurt. It sucks for him, and I'm really hoping he bounces back. Now, I do wonder if a lot of this Jack Quinn just trying to get the use of things, playing in Europe and everything, and now they have a new jumbotron in Buffalo that this is how we win type of thing.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know about that, the Sabres on YouTube posted like when the new jumbotron put in, and their title is "This is how we win" in quotation marks.
I thought it was for the roof. That was for the roof video.
Was that for the?
Yeah,
I
that was for the
saw one
roof.
for the jumbotron too.
No, it was for the roof.
What was the jumbotron one then?
It was just the jumbotron.
Because I saw a screenshot of the jumbotron.
Well, yeah, but I'm pretty sure the clip was where they were talking about like, yeah, we're starting to put money in the arena, like looking at the roof, like this is how we win with new stuff like this.
Quotation marks.
Yeah.
I find that stupid, not gonna lie. Anyways, back to Jack Quinn. Yeah, I think he's gonna have a huge year. He's gonna be playing with Dylan Cousins most of the year.
Define huge year.
What's up?
What's a huge year for Jack Quinn? Like 30 goals?
I'm gonna say between 23 to 28 goals. I think he can get.
Because the thing, my issue with Jack Quinn is he's a sniper. He's a shooter. He doesn't really, to me, bring much to the game defensively.
Yeah.
And so he has limited upside there, especially with a coach like Lindy Ruff, who expects a lot of responsibilities out of his forwards. I think he might get limited ice time, but I'd love for him. He's going to get his chances to shoot. He'll be on that second power play unit, probably on the point, just ripping one-timers.
I believe he's gotten chances on the first power play unit too.
Yeah, so, kid can be great. He's just got to stay on the ice and, get his shots. The thing I love about Jack Quinn is because I go to a lot of games in person. The kid's always calling for the puck. He could be like double covered or not even in the sight line of the guy who has the puck. You just hear him clapping his stick, like give me the puck, I'm open. Which I love the mentality, but homie, they ain't passing you the puck when you're like 10 feet to the left of them and they cannot see you.
I like it.
Chill out, man.
Hey!
Literally, like the whole game, like he's just there, like. Yelling for the puck.
That could just be him letting him know that he's open if need be too. Like,
he is. He's like, I want the puck. Pass it to me.
Yeah, he knows he's not always gonna get the puck too. Like, there's like
I know. I just find it funny.
I know it's funny. All right, Okay, so I have my number 2 player. I have William Eklund of the San Jose Sharks.
Okay.
Offensive force to be reckoned with. He's going to be playing up there with Celebrini, Will Smith, and all the guys. Probably going to be on power play 1. Last season, William Eklund had a really good season. And originally, I wasn't going to put Eklund on this list. And I saw something from the San Jose Sharks Reddit saying that William Eklund was going to have a huge year. And I was like, listen, let me take a deep dive into this. William Eklund is going to be one of the best two-way guys in the league. I looked at his So
you really like to buy into shit, don't you?
I'm telling you right now, his percentile and everything. His percentile was in the 60 for offense and 60 for defense.
What about his percentile and plus minus? Because it's negative 45.
Well, plus minus doesn't fuck you, buddy. So he's gonna be.
He's got to keep the puck out of the net.
You know what? He should just go block shots then. Play. Screw scoring goals. The Sharks don't need to score goals to win. So, anyways, back to actual serious talk. Yeah. So William Eklund's gonna. I don't want to say this. Huge year. Huge year by. Hold on. I'm going to take a look at
what do you. He had 45 points last year. 16 goals, 29 assists. Played 80 games.
Give me a 60-point season from Eklund.
So that's a huge year for him?
I think that's a huge jump.
Yeah, I think that's fair to expect that from him. He had 45 points on a horrible team last year.
With huge year, I'm not going to go out here and be like, William Eklund might be a point per game because I don't think that's realistic for a guy like him. Now, if he does it, great. We'll be celebrating, jumping off the walls. I will be running laps around everybody saying I told you so about William Eklund. But that's not the case, though. I think he just needs to take a huge step with the rest of the Sharks core. Playing with Celebrini is going to help a lot. I know he has other guys like Granlund, Will Smith, like I just mentioned. So Tyler Toffoli, a new addition as well. Can't forget about him. So William Eklund's going to have a nice little year. Huge jump.
Yeah, I think he'll be fun to watch.
My last guy, Akil Thomas. This might be a little bit premature, but I think this might be a little bit of a hot take because last season, in 7 games played, he had 3 goals, 1 assist, 4 points. I thought he looked pretty good. He was my substitute for Quentin Byfield. I wanted to go with somebody that wasn't so obvious that everybody was picking because there's no fun in just picking the most boring, basic guys. Let me tell you guys about Akil Thomas. Last season, he got called up at the end of the season just because they needed a guy to step in. I believe it was his first career game. He got a goal, if I'm not mistaken. It was a beautiful shot from the top of the slot, I believe it was, something like that. And I was like, okay, like this kid's gonna, he might be all right. And obviously, first game, a lot of people get goals in their first game and don't turn out to be shit. However, though, Akil Thomas is going to be a middle six guy in their lineup.
He'll probably be third or fourth line.
He's going to be third line. But I can see him eventually seeping his way into the top 6 if he continues his production. Now, I know the top 6 for LA has some good talent on it. But at the end of the day, Akil Thomas, if he can produce and put up, give me 35 points on the third line, I think that would be like, listen.
I mean, that would be a pretty solid rookie season for him.
I think that would have a good rookie season for him. He's not going to come out and light the league on fire because he's going to be competing with guys like Michkov, Sankover, and Celebrini. You guys get the point. But I think he's going to have a pretty solid season.
Okay.
All right. So last but not least, we have here, before we move on to our guest, preseason, man. Injuries. There have been a lot of talk surrounding not only with the internet, with online, whatever, social media, but also brought up in the fall meetings or something with the NHL, with the new CBA coming up, about the NHL getting rid of a few preseason games, going to 84-game seasons. I'm okay with this. However, though, players do need their game speed warm-ups. But at the same time, I think the preseason should be more used as the younger guys or the 8 guy, like fringe roster guys that would be like, okay, I potentially can make the roster, or a guy that, you know what, I'm not going to make the roster, but let this organization know that I can make the roster at some point in their young career. And I was listening to the Empty Netters podcast, and shout out Chris and Dan. I'm
sure they're listening.
They played like high level hockey, and one of them said that they would rather scrimmage every single day in practice than go out and play a meaningless preseason game. Like, they were fans of going out, playing their teammates, not low contact, but you get some contact in there, feel a little bit of stuff, but don't go out there trying to injure everybody, and then at game speed, run it, and then get ready for game 1 of opening night, which I thought was a very interesting take. I don't know how the players would feel about this inside the league. I wish I could ask them, to be honest with you.
I think with the preseason, the type of teams that typically benefit the most from the preseason are like teams with a lot of young players.
Yep.
And teams with new coaches, because I think you get a chance to try out new systems, try out different things on the power play, different looks, try different line combinations, see how they work. Because you could scrimmage all you want, but you're playing against a team that you don't skate against very often with a different system, and you don't know what they're going to do. So I think it is still a good way to evaluate players going into the season. I don't think they'll ever do away with it.
No, they won't get rid of it.
I am for shortening it.
It is turning into the NFL where it's like less and less guys are like playing as much in it. And
typically once you get towards the end of the preseason, it's like opening night rosters for the most part.
But like teams were really playing, at least as it started the preseason, were playing their rosters on home ice so the fans that were coming in can see the rostered guys, and then away they would play like the AHL guys, or like maybe throw in an NHL guy here or there to fill in a spot. Like when we went to the Sabres game, the Sabres had the entire roster.
Well, the Sabres were a little bit of a different situation, though.
Well, yeah, but like every team is doing it, though. Like the Canadians did it, the Oilers did it.
I mean, that makes sense because I think it's kind of a waste of time for like Connor McDavid to like fly out somewhere for a preseason game. Like, you don't need. He doesn't really need to do that.
Go to Minnesota and play a 60-minute game where it doesn't mean shit. Like,
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of get that. I think it's a really great opportunity for the young players, though, just to get a little bit of a taste of the NHL. They get to go like in the NHL arenas, NHL jerseys, NHL locker rooms. They get the NHL training staff. They get the whole experience of, what it might be like if they were ever to make the roster full time. Every once in a while you get like a training camp gem who ends up making a roster that was unexpected.
I don't mean to cut you off. Shout out to Jet Luchenko for making the Flyers roster.
Yeah. So, yeah, you get good stories like that where a guy has a really good training camp, impresses in preseason games, and is on the on the roster opening night when you didn't think you didn't even know who this guy was a week ago.
Killed you guys for drafting him at 13th overall, I believe it was.
Yeah, so I mean, like last year with Zach Benson making the Sabres as a rookie, which everyone was shocked by because, typically in the draft, unless you're like a top 5 pick, you're normally not playing in the NHL. You're rookie, like right out of the draft. You usually are back in juniors or you play a year in the minors if you're eligible.
Correct, which I would be okay with them doing away with a couple preseason games.
I'm all for that. But, I mean, another thing I wanted to bring up with the preseason is I feel like there's been a good amount of injuries this preseason. A couple major ones, specifically with Drew Doughty and Patrick Laine. It sounds like they both got lucky and aren't going to miss too crazy time. When I saw that hit on Laine's knee, I thought he was like tore his ACL. I thought he was done for the year. I thought his knee was torn up. It looked really bad. Think he's going to be out for 2 or 3 months?
Yeah, he's going to be out 2 to 3 months.
Which is really good for him, all things considered, because watching that play, dirty play.
No, it wasn't dirty. I don't think the player meant to do it.
He stuck his leg out.
No, I don't think he meant to do it. Like, you look at the replay, I don't think he meant to do it. Anyways.
I don't know. I mean, the Doughty one was kind of just a weird thing.
That was a play that
it looked like he's got his foot stuck in the ice or something. And it's like, I mean, how long is he going to be out for?
He's going to be out for 10 to 14 weeks, they said. So 3 to
4 which that also looked really bad. So
I mean, thankfully, it's just a bone injury, not a ligament damage, which is huge. He just fractured.
Yeah, so, I mean, both these players got lucky. I mean, I felt awful for Laine because, I mean, that dude hasn't been able to catch a break the last few years.
Drafted, bro, my fantasy hockey league. Come on, bro. No, I'm just kidding.
Man, so did I. Literally, like, I drafted him that morning, and then hours later.
I declined to trade in a redraft trade because I wanted to keep Laine so bad, but here we are. Anyways, that's besides the point. Fantasy doesn't mean shit. Hopefully, Laine and Doughty can get back as soon as possible and everything.
I think Celebrini also had a preseason injury.
Celebrini had a lower body injury. I know at one point, Kachuk, Stützle, and Shabbat injuries. At one point, Matthews was dealing with an injury as well. Reinbacher is out 5 to 6 months for the Canadiens as well. Feel bad for him. So a lot of injuries that I feel like to a lot of key guys this preseason. And it's weird though because like the second this happens, like we've seen it in the NFL, NBA, I guess not really MLB, but like the NHL. Like second there's key guys out with injuries and
all the starters are done.
Yep, it's like that, and it's like, all right, we got to get rid of some games or get rid of it completely. Like the NFL has talked about going to 2 preseason games and doing an 18-game schedule and just having that one bye week in between week 1 and the preseason like they still do. NBA's talked about shortening it. Now the NHL is talking about shortening it.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think the only things that get harmed by shortening the preseason is probably just younger players' chances of getting exposure with the NHL clubs, which would suck for them because, it's typically a great opportunity. They get development camp. They do well enough. They get an invite to training camp. Maybe they get to play in a couple preseason games with some of the big NHLers, stick around a little longer than previously they thought they were going to.
With them too.
So, but I mean, for the NHL, it makes sense because you get 2 more regular season games. It's more money for you because let's face it, nobody really goes to preseason games.
Now we're going to take you guys to our nice little piece with Nordic97. Go follow all of his socials. Thank you guys for being here. Subscribe, notification bell on YouTube. Thank you guys for listening on Spotify and Apple. Join our Discord, follow our Instagram, links in the description below. We'll see you guys in our next episode. Today, for the second time in our history, we have Nordic97 joining our show. First off, thank you for coming on. I hope you're enjoying the rest of your day. I know it's 9:30, 10 o'clock at night.
My day's over. My day's over. But it's been a good day. We worked all day. There's nothing else I'd rather do on a Saturday night after a long shift at work than make a checking from behind podcast.
Oh, yeah. That's what we love to hear. I mean, isn't that on everyone's Saturday night list, right? work and then go on checking from
What are you
behind.
doing if you aren't watching or listening to us right now, or Nordic's podcast too? So that's huge.
The best
Okay.
podcast in the planet.
So we have the NHL season coming up. This is the last Saturday without hockey for months on end. So
Well, it was hockey today. What are you talking about?
well, I said last Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Without regular season hockey.
Yes, without regular season hockey. We have to be more specific around here. All right.
Actually, you know what?
There was regular season hockey today.
Oh yeah, that's right. The game was at 10 and I was working.
All right.
Sorry,
The
guys.
all right, let me work. The last season without non-North American League regular season hockey. Let's go with that.
Yes, there we go. There we go. All right, so we're gonna kick things off here with some hot takes. I don't know how. Holy shit! I just choked on my spit. I don't know.
There.
I don't know. I don't know how many hot takes you guys have, but you guys know. Well, I don't know if Nordic quite knows, but Preston, you know 100%. I said it earlier when we were recording our part. I'm not high in the Red Wings. The Yzer plan, not a great plan. The Red Wings fans probably hate my guts for it. I think the Yzer plan fails once again, and the Red Wings miss the playoffs again. And there's going to be more question marks about the Yzer plan and if it's really going to work. They don't have the goaltending. They don't have the defense. Now, I will give him credit. They can score. I think they're going to score a lot of goals. You add Tarasenko. You add Kane for another year. You have DeBrincat and Larkin and all the guns up there. But scoring only gets you so far. You're going to have to be able to stop the puck. And sure, they have guys like muust on the back end. You have Edmondson with them too. But your next best defenseman is a guy like maybe Ben Sherratt, who
Jeff Petry's still elite.
Serious deal. Come on, he's gonna prove himself.
So
and don't forget about I think Oli Mott is still on the Red Wings too. Come on, dude. He's got a couple cups.
I do think that this team is going to be good. They're going to be in the playoff bubble. They're going to repeat what they did last season, but I think they're going to miss out by just a couple points here.
Oh shit! I forgot about Justin Hall too. Yeah, they do have it. That blue line is actually horrific.
Yeah, by the way, he's their 7th defenseman.
Yeah,
and they're paying him like $3.5 million, which is still like baffling to me.
Yeah, I heard they tried trading him, and no one would even consider taking it.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't buy him out. That's what I thought they were gonna do, but they ended up not going down that route. So I don't hate that take. It's not. It's a hot take, but it isn't at the same time.
Well, that's like a mild take.
Yeah,
just call me pussies. All right, cool.
What I'm gonna say is that I feel like what the Red Wings did this offseason, they didn't make any moves that screamed like they want to get into the playoffs. Like if they wanted to get into the playoffs, they would have. First off, they wouldn't have traded Wallman for scrap metal, basically. They would have upgraded that blue line. They would have gotten some more forward depth, and they would have actually taken getting a legitimate goaltender seriously. So from what I can tell with some of the moves that they made, I don't think they're planning on making the playoffs. Of course, if they do, then that's exceeding expectations, and the Yzer plan really is working. But I think they want to take one more year to kind of, see where this team goes, see what they can do. And I think this following year, they're really going to redo that blue line because a few of those guys are expiring.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah, this blue line is outside of Mo Sider. Sherratt's okay, but Mott is a decent veteran, but that Justin Hall contract's horrible. Jeff Petry, I didn't even know he was still in the league. Dude's so slow now, but I think Ville Husso can be a starting caliber goalie. It's just there was goaltenders available for them. I heard they were interested in goalie, but they didn't make any serious offers, like you said. So I mean, if they I have them in my predictions getting the last wild card spot, just because I think out of all the teams in the Eastern Conference that are duking it out for that last wild card spot, I do think they're the better one out of those bunch.
Yeah,
someone's got to make it.
Again, I'm gonna say I am acting like I'm a little bit low on them. I'm at the same time, they're gonna be in the bubble, they're gonna be contending. Again, as you said, they're gonna score, they're gonna be fun to watch, they're gonna be entertaining, but it's gonna be I feel like they might start off slow or kind of take a step back from where they were last year, coming so close, and people are gonna overreact, but you really shouldn't yet. I think that what they're building is right. It's just a matter of getting to that point. So, my girlfriend won't like that. She's a Red Wings fan.
All right, why don't you guys shoot with one here real quick?
I'll go with one. This is interesting. Vancouver, after last year having such a great season, misses the playoffs.
That's crazy.
Because of that goaltending situation. Listen, if Demko, they got to be really careful with Demko because they were saying that he was going to be back by Game 7, and then this injury pops up when he tries to come back so quickly. So they really got to be careful. I can't think of the specific kind of injury he has, but they need to be really careful with how they bring him back. And I heard Shilovs is dealing with stuff too. And I feel like Vancouver got some depth this offseason, but they also lost a lot of depth too. Like that blue line, I like the first pairing. Apart from that, it's not like one of my favorite decors in the league for sure. Outside of that first pairing of Hughes and Hronek, I like the forward core, but it wouldn't surprise me with that goalie issue that they really struggle out of the gate, and they might be like the New Jersey of this year and miss.
That's interesting. That's an interesting take. I mean, I just look at the division though, and I think the Pacific Division is pretty weak all around.
Yeah,
obviously, I think Edmonton's the best team in that division. I think by far they should win that division. And then what other teams could be competing for that second spot? Like there's Vancouver, probably put Vegas in that conversation, and LA, maybe Seattle.
No, Seattle's not a maybe. Seattle will be competing for a third spot in the Pacific.
I mean, Anaheim, I don't think Anaheim will be that competitive. I don't think Calgary will. I don't think San Jose will. So, outside of Edmonton, I feel like there's a bunch of mid teams, and I think Vancouver is better than Vegas and Seattle and LA. So unless like something horrific happens, I find it pretty shocking that they would completely miss the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but that's the thing. Like they're in the West. If they were in the East,
different story. That's why New Jersey missed last year too, because injuries and goaltending.
Yeah. But I think that for sure it's a possibility. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just saying, like, I think that it could happen, and I think that there's a better chance of it happening than people might think of.
I think there's probably a good 65% that it does happen, mainly because of goaltending. If they have Thatcher Demko, they were getting second in the Pacific easily.
You think there's a 65% chance they don't make the playoffs?
Without Demko, yes. And then if Shilovs misses some time at all, yes. I like Kevin Lankinen, but he's not a 1A starting goaltender. He's a good backup.
We just don't really know when Demko is going to come back. Like, we don't really know right now. It's kind of up in the air. Like, we've heard that he will miss training camp and he might miss like the first week or two of the season, but like we don't really know. It's kind of like Swayman. Like, we don't really know when he's coming back. I mean, of course, Swayman's different because the guy doesn't even have a contract. But again, I don't know.
Okay, I got a scorching hot take here. You might want to sit down. I think Sidney Crosby is going to score 50 goals, win MVP, and Pittsburgh will make the playoffs.
Nate loves you for that, by the way.
I was inspired by Nate when I was thinking about this because we were talking about, he was like hyping up Pittsburgh. He's like, oh, they got Crosby, they'll be good. I was like, maybe if Crosby goes nuclear this year, they might make the playoffs. If he scores 50 goals and wins MVP, I think they're a playoff team. Yeah,
that's definitely a hot take. I'll give you that.
50 for Crosby. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
No, he did it.
Right now, that's the hottest take.
He did. That's true.
That's true. I
don't
really
know.
Like
maybe bringing in Kevin Hayes will help.
Oh yeah.
Or like Rutger McGroarty, who's going to be a Wilkes-Barre to start the year, possibly. So again, like you can kind of tell that I'm not very high on Pittsburgh, but I could really see that happening. Like Crosby, I think, is one of two players in this league where he can do anything. He can score a bunch of goals or he can get a bunch of assists. Like, he is one of two players in the league that I think can do that. The other being the guy in Edmonton. But yeah, I think it's very possible, but I wouldn't put money on that.
I like that take to an extent because I think Crosby is elite. I think he can put up 50 goals. The only problem I have with that is that the Pittsburgh team just isn't good. That even if he does that, I don't know if the Penguins get in the playoffs in the East. It's like my thing.
So
But
you think if Crosby scores 50 plus points, 50 plus goals, has probably over 100, 110 points, you don't think that's enough for them to even be in second wildcard spot?
They'll be in the playoff bubble. It's gonna be hard. Maybe it's me hating on the Penguins for some reason, but
a matter of if Crosby can really carry that
if
team.
you will,
Because
listen, if Evgeny Malkin's parents are here for the entire season, they're President Trophy winners.
I mean, I also think I'll add one more thing and then we'll
Yeah.
move on. I also think that if the power play is a little bit, it's similar to Philadelphia. Like if the power play was a little bit better last year, I think Pittsburgh probably makes it in. Maybe that's the deal breaker for them, and Crosby could play a factor in that. So
I mean, I do think Tristan Jarry will be better this year. I don't think he wasn't great last year. I think he can be better.
Yeah.
Djokovic is a solid backup. I mean, this is a ridiculous take. When I was coming up with it, I was like, this is stupid. I don't even know why I'm saying this, but I wanted something juicy. But I mean, I don't think this team's good enough for a playoff spot. I think if Crosby does go completely nuclear, though, I think they got a shot. But he has to have an MVP season for them to even sniff the playoffs.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm just going to go one at a time here because might be the highest person of all time on this team. Everybody seems to be high on them. The New Jersey Devils. Okay.
Thought he was going to go Blackhawks there for a second. Over 500. Oh my God.
The New Jersey Devils will make the Stanley Cup Finals, and I know I probably kind of spoiled it a little bit here, but seeing I made this before yesterday, by the way, with the hot take, so the games that happen have no influence on it, but seeing Markstrom go out and do what he did yesterday and play good hockey, actually elite hockey at that. The Devils needed a goaltending like that, and that's all it took. And yes, this team needs to stay healthy, and if they can stay on the ice, you're getting 100 points from Jack Hughes. You're getting possibly a Selke season from Nico Hischier. Now, I know there's guys in the league that are better defensively forwards than he is, but he's up there. You have Jesper Bratt, who's one of the most underrated guys in the league. And this team is it feels different than a couple of years ago, where a couple of years ago it felt like they were boat racing teams 6-4, 6-5. Like they were in constant high-scoring games. And then when you got to the playoffs, you kind of get lucky with beating the Rangers in, I believe it was 7 games, and then get killed in the second round. Like, this team has goaltending. They have the makings to go all the way. And personally, I think there might only be 2 teams that can compete with them right now in that tier, and that is the New York Rangers and the Florida Panthers. I would have the Bruins close to them, but without Jeremy Swayman, I don't think they're close to the Devils. Swayman makes that much of a difference, so the Devils are going to be in the Cup final. They could possibly win the damn thing, if I'm being honest with you.
That's spicy. I don't know if I don't think I agree with that.
Really?
I think they're a playoff team. I don't know if they even make it to the conference final, though.
I was going to do conference finals, but I was like, that seems too easy.
Too easy?
It was that easy, man. Yeah, I mean, I like your optimism. I really do. And I'm going to say this. Like I said about Philly and Pittsburgh, like if the power play was a little bit better, they probably would have made it in. Like that's just how much of a bloodbath the Eastern Conference was last year. But like, again, if the Devils goaltending like percentage was like even like,
average.
Yeah, even average, they would have made it. They would have. And I think that, again, they dealt with a lot of injuries last year too. If the team can stay healthy, that's another factor. Like the goaltending it was probably the main thing, but it wasn't the only thing that was the reason why they didn't make it. But if they can stay healthy, I definitely think they can make it into the playoffs. I don't really know. Like, this is still a very young team. They've only made the playoffs once. And yes, they did upset the Rangers. I don't know if you want to call it an upset, but they did beat the Rangers 2 years ago. I guess like a year and a half ago now. But I think that it could happen. Anything can happen. But I think that it's possible. I don't know if I could see Cup final though. I mean, this team might be a little bit inexperienced and too young. We'll see.
Right. You guys are
that's very, very, very optimistic. Like I said,
I'm not hating.
No, I'm talking about for Zach. I'm talking about not you. You had a very grounded take.
Yeah,
Zach is fucking crazy. Stanley Cup final.
We average one blazing hot take a week, and we're keeping it up. So.
Well, I think that Capitals captain Alex Ovechkin is going to break the goal record this year. He is currently 42 away from breaking it, and I think that it is very possible for him to do it. I think that in the second half of last year, he looked really good, and I think that there's a really good chance that he can do it this year. So.
Yeah, it was interesting with Washington last year because it seemed like through the second half of the year, they kind of changed their whole offensive system just to get Ovi going. I was watching them break down like the Capitals play style because Ovi's not as fast as he used to be, like clearly. And they kind of changed the way they get the puck to him to make up for that. And it worked really, really well.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at like the guys they brought in. Just ignore Pierre-Luc Dubois for a second. They brought in Mangiapane. They brought in a few offensive defensemen. I feel like they brought in a lot of guys to really help Ovechkin break that record, and then they just decided to bring in Dubois just because why not?
Well, they have to plan somewhat for the future.
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, Dubois is locked up for 7 years. You want him to be your captain.
You don't understand this team is going to be in the playoffs.
Natural-born leader Pierre-Luc Dubois will be loved by all of his teammates.
The guy who needs his GM, Rob Blake, to come on the ice in full pads and equipment to teach him how to play dirty in the corners.
Hey, he's that good. He's that good. He's GM.
I still can't believe that's a real story.
The first time I told Preston on an episode, he was like, "I don't believe you, dude. That's some random Twitter guy that went on Twitter and just made shit up." No, it's real. It's real.
Still can't believe it, to be honest with you. That's probably why they traded him. And I mean, Rob Blake was Rob. It's Rob, right? Not
Rob.
Rob Blake was the only one apparently that was like really high on him, like and wanted to get him. It was his decision. Everyone else was like, I don't know.
I mean, I'll give him credit for getting rid of it because that's not an easy feat either to remove that contract.
I do give him a lot of credit for that. He did get a lot better of a return. I don't know. I think Kemper could be a good goalie in LA, which is another hot take that I have.
I like it.
Yeah, I think getting back to Ovi, I don't think it's that crazy that I think he could do it. But my thing with Ovi is I feel like that's all he's really played for anymore. It's just to break that record. I feel like we didn't really see much effort out of him in the playoffs. Because I mean, he's got his cup. He's 39 years old. I mean, he doesn't really have anything left to prove. But if you got a chance to break the great one, any one of Wayne Gretzky's records, like you go for it.
Yeah, just unbelievable that he's getting to this point. Like, we are going to witness history.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to do it. It might not be this year, but it's definitely going to be like.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think it gets done within next 2 years. I don't know if he signs another contract after this one. I think he's probably retiring after this. He might retire if he breaks the record this year. So
yeah, we're going to really like witness history. Like, it's kind of crazy to think. Like,
and I do understand why the Capitals are kind of going all in to build this team around him breaking that record, because then you could also say we drafted a guy that broke Wayne Gretzky's record, a record that nobody thought would ever be touched.
Well, their whole team is past their prime, and Tom Wilson's getting paid
that contract,
6.5 or something like that to basically just sit around and fight people. So, and people on TikTok won't like that, by the way. So just saying.
Oh, TikTok's big Tom Wilson lovers.
Yeah, they always come at me and they say that I don't know hockey, and they said that they think that everybody wants Tom Wilson, and I'm like, hate to break it to you, nobody wants Tom Wilson.
Maybe like 5 years, 5 or 6. Yeah, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, not now.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe
when he wasn't overpaid.
Yeah.
All right,
Preston, do you have one at all or no? If not, we can move on.
I'm still cooking. If you have another one, Zach.
You know what? Okay, I talk about this player a lot. He's already either buy or sell. He's already in my award picks. So I'm gonna spoil one of my award picks for the Hart Trophy if you guys are okay with it.
Go for it.
All right, Kirill Kaprizov will win the Hart Trophy this season. I'm just saying. Like, listen.
Oh my Lord.
I know Connor McDavid exists, okay, but there's gonna be this thing called voters fatigue, and they're gonna get sick of Kucherov. And
I mean, he didn't win last year.
Voters fatigue.
Listen, okay, Connor McDavid might be the best player of all time. Okay, that's not true, by the way. Okay, just want to
That's a
point that out.
take right there.
Oh my God, what is
But
happening?
on a serious note, though, Kirill Kaprizov last season, the first half of the season, did not look great. Up to his standards, he was not great. The second half of the season, he picked it up. He was at about 1.3 points per game. He was at about 115-point pace. Wild started to win games because of him. He is that team. Kirill Kaprizov. If the Wild make the playoffs, which I do have them making, he will win the Hart Trophy, and all the dots are going to connect. He's going to win it now. If he doesn't win it, will I be shocked? No. Like, it's a hot take for a reason. But I think going into the season, Kirill Kaprizov, underrated up in Minnesota, he's going to bring home hardware. He has to. He's too talented not to.
No, I do want to defend Zach a bit here because we did talk about this last week, I believe. There is some precedent for I don't think he has to go crazy and have like 130 points to have a chance to win MVP because I think a lot of people forget that Taylor Hall won MVP years ago on an okay Devils team that got the second wild card spot, and he had 94 points, which seems pretty low for an MVP winner. But that team is not a playoff team without him. He is the reason why they made the playoffs for a team that had no expectations going into it. And if we're using that as a precedent, I think if Kaprizov has like 95 to 100 points in the Wild, because I don't think people are expecting the Wild to make the playoffs. I'm definitely not. I think if they make the playoffs and he has 100 points, I think he honestly might be in that conversation. He is the reason why they're there.
Some people forget that the Hart is value and it's not points.
Yeah.
Not like, it's not like a second Art Ross. It's value to a team. And that's why some people are like, oh my God, why did Taylor Hall win the Hart that one year? So random. He barely he didn't even have 100 points because he carried that team. That team was like literally the middest team of all time. You go look at their scoring. They were so mid. They had Corey Schneider in net. Like, be for real here. There's a reason why they got bounced by Tampa. I don't know why I'm wearing it. There's a reason why they got bounced by them in 5 games. But, again, it's based off of value, and I think that that's a very, very possible outcome. If Minnesota breaks in, it's a very possible outcome. But I do think Utah has a few things to say about that.
I got Utah coming up. Don't worry.
Utah and Minnesota battling it out for the final wild card spot in the West.
Please.
That'd be sick. That'd be sick.
Don't forget Seattle.
Oh yeah, third in the Pacific.
Seattle is a team that does exist in the NHL. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not that low on them. I'm just hating. Okay, I couldn't think of a hot take, but I just have an idea pop in my head. Do you think the NHL should have a play-in like the NBA does for the last wild card spot?
If they expand, yes.
If they expand, you think they should have a play-in round?
Yes. I feel like if you expand to 34 or 36 or even go further than that, I think you have to. Because, right now, you're at, a great point where, you're at 32 teams. Half the league makes the playoffs, 8 teams from each conference. That's perfect. But if you do end up expanding the league to, again, let's say 36 teams, I think you're going to need to, because it's going to be a lot harder for teams to get in. There's going to be a lot more, I don't know. I feel like if they expand, I think it has to happen.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that. I think that is a good point. Do you think it should be winner takes all or a best of 3 series?
I mean, the MLB is a little different. The MLB is not as people won't like, some MLB fans won't like this, but it's not as hard and as competitive as hockey is. I feel like it would probably be a single elimination.
Yeah, kind of like how the NBA does it, have 8 versus 10, 8 versus 11, 9 versus 10.
Yeah, I think that would work.
That would be fine by me. I haven't really thought about this much, so I'm going off the top of my dome. I would be okay with the play-in round. I think single elimination is okay. If they went to a best of 3 where the higher seed was home all 3 games, I wouldn't be mad at that either. But if they came out with the new CBA and we were at 32 teams and they're like, we're going to do a play-in, we're going to try a play-on, whatever,
I would hate a play-in with 32 teams. That would be I don't like it in the NBA because the NBA only has 30 teams. So
yeah. But the NBA also, though, like they're so money hungry, and they were like after when everything happened with COVID and they had to play in, they're like, you know what, let's just keep it in. And then now they added an in-season tournament last season, so whatever.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
the in-season tournament's a little bit weird.
It
For the
is.
NHL, it'd be weird.
I wouldn't.
I mean, they're kind of doing that this year with the World Cup.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
that's
different
also
though.
like international.
'Cause,
That's
like,
not like
The
NHL.
NBA, like they use regular season games for the in-season tournament too. So, all
I
right,
guess you could do that for the NHL.
what's up?
I don't know. I wouldn't really care about it in season tournament. I think it'd be fun for like fans, but for the league, I really don't see a point. I don't
The
think the players
players
would
would
really
love it.
want
No,
that.
the NBA players love that shit.
I know LeBron loves it.
Yeah.
That's why he's the GOAT. He's the first NBA in-season tournament champion and MVP.
They hung up a banner for it, which is crazy.
It's a championship, man.
Man, weak ass championship. All right, so we're finally gonna move on here. I'll save the Stanley Cup picks for last. However, though, do you guys have anything that you guys are looking forward to this season?
I got a rookie in Philadelphia. His name starts with an M, and his last name starts with an M as well. His number is 39, Matvei Michkov. I mean, like, he's been really exciting to watch in the preseason. I saw him play in a game in person. Looks like he's going to be fun, man. He looks like he's going to be really fun to watch this year. I'm also looking for, like, generally the rookie race looks fun too. Like, I really do think that people are underrating Lane Hudson a little bit. And that's coming from someone who has kind of been a little bit like, I'm not really terribly high on Hudson, but I do think people are underrating him a little bit. I think Celebrini will be competing in there too. Stankoven, Gauthier, like it's a fun rookie race this year. I can't lie.
He just took away two of my things that I was gonna say in like two seconds.
Oh,
Added with Michkov, I had Luchenko too because that Luchenko making the roster is some exciting stuff. I will say that.
I'm
Good
gonna
for
say
him.
this. There's a few, like Carter Yakimchuk made the Senators or is going to make the Senators. I don't know if that's news to you guys, but I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna give him like a 9-game stint and send him to juniors for both those players. Now, if let's say hypothetically Luchenko goes in and has like 5 goals in those 9 games, they might keep him around for a little bit longer. But again, like I think they might give him a few games, a little stints. They're giving him the West Coast Canada road trip with the Flyers. That's where they start off. But I think that I think it'd be smart to give him these 9 games, give him a little bit of a taste at the NHL, and then send him back to juniors to really kind of work on his game. But he really kind of proved in this preseason and hopefully in this stint that maybe it wasn't that out of a world pick at 14, to be honest. Or was it 13? I don't even remember anymore. Yeah.
All right, Preston.
I'm really excited to watch the Eastern Conference wild card race. I think this is going to be really, really tight, really, really competitive. You have a lot of teams that are in that conversation. You got Tampa Bay, the Islanders, Pittsburgh, Washington, Buffalo. I'll put the Flyers in there too because they were just outside of the playoffs last year. Ottawa, you can also throw in there. Pretty much everyone in the East, I'd say, outside of like Montreal and Columbus.
Montreal, they're not gonna make the playoffs, but I think they will be competitive.
Well, I'm talking about like have a real chance to win a wild card spot.
I'm not gonna say hot. I'm not gonna be blazing hot take. Carry on.
Yeah, because I think you could look at like every team in the Eastern Conference outside of Montreal and Columbus and give a reason why you think they could win a wild card spot. And we talked about it a little bit earlier. The East is so competitive. You have such good teams at the top of each division. You got the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, Devils, Hurricanes. The Rangers are probably going to be really, really great again this year. It's going to be a bloodbath for that second wild card spot, and I think it's going to probably come down to the last day of the season again. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, a lot of high-stakes hockey later in the year. I think you might have a very active trade deadline due to how many teams might be possibly in that conversation at the end of the year. I think it's going to be very interesting.
I hope it's not a mid-off like at the end of last year, because that was a hard watch. I can't lie.
Oh, come on. Washington was so good.
Team wanted to win, and somehow every single East team was like, no, you take it. No, you take it. And Washington came up here and said, I'll gladly take that thing. And everybody was like, who the fuck invited you?
All because of John Tortorella, bro, pulled his goalie. And just spoiled the Wings' chances. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think that the Eastern Conference, and this is it's entertaining every year, especially this year, because there are a lot of people who are highly optimistic about Ottawa, Detroit, Buffalo. There's people that still believe in Pittsburgh, the Flyers, or not really the Flyers, Pittsburgh, the Capitals is what I meant. The Islanders will be in that conversation too. I mean, like, it really is competitive. Like, I think every team will be competitive, except for I would say Columbus. I think it's
they're I feel bad for them. They're gonna have a rough year though.
Yeah, I feel really bad for them for obvious reasons. But
yeah, it's gonna be a rough year in Columbus.
Will be really competitive.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to our award picks now. This is where things get a little bit dicey, because shout out Mbon Hockey, and he put out an Instagram post about his award picks with a bunch of other content creators. Decided not to use McDavid or Matthews, and Nordic was part of it as well. So
I was part of it.
I'm not going to use McDavid or Matthews as well. We're going to spice things up a little bit, make things not boring. So we're going to start off with the Hart Trophy. I already said my pick earlier in a hot take segment. Kirill Kaprizov's going to be a Hart Trophy. No need to explain it twice to you guys. I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Preston, go first.
I'm going to go with, I think McKinnon wins it again. I think.
Do I have to?
We can have the same guy. I mean, you want to say MVP. I know Colorado has a lot of great players on their team, but that dude's just on another level. Like, he's so fast. Like, he makes everything look so easy. He's so competitive and intense. Like, he had 140 points last year, and it wouldn't shock me if he had 150. Like, this team does not go without Connor and without Nathan McKinnon. Like, hands down, I think. I mean, having guys like Mikko Rantanen and Makar might take a little bit of load off of him and might make him seem less important. But no, don't underestimate it. He helps elevate them too, as much as they help him.
He is ridiculously, I almost said underrated. He's not underrated, but he's ridiculously valuable to that Avalanche team. Like, I mean, like, they could struggle out of the gate, and you know that they're going to come back because McKinnon is that good.
Or they could be down 3 goals halfway through the second, and I'm like, oh, they still got a chance.
They are there's a lot of teams in the league where, like, you don't want to, you're worried that they're going to come back. But I would put Colorado at the top of that list, because they have, not only do they have McKinnon, they have Rantanen and Makar. Like, they are one of the most scary teams to play when you're leading, when you're, like, beating them. Like, they are a really good come from behind team, and McKinnon's a big part of that. Like, he's unreal. Like McDavid is obviously, like, the number one player, but McKinnon is, like, I can't lie to you, a close to.
I will say the one thing that I'll never forget from McKinnon's career outside of winning the Stanley Cup is in that same playoff run, playing the St. Louis Blues. I believe it was a game 6. Yeah, it was the game 6. And McKinnon tied game 2-2 late in the third, goes coast to coast with the puck, goes past every single Blues defender, and
I think it was
absolutely
game
roofs
5.
it. Yes, game 5, excuse me. Tie game, 3 minutes left, roofs it to win the game. Electric goal, by the way, which I honestly find that one of his more iconic moments of his career. I know it's not, I don't want to say it didn't mean anything because it was a huge playoff goal. But, I mean, that Colorado team in 2022 killed everybody that they played.
I will say that Nathan McKinnon, just like from you're watching him in person and watching him on TV a lot, like when he's playing your favorite team, like you get nervous whenever he has the puck, because like it's the same thing like watching Connor McDavid or any of those like elite players. Like when you watch him, it's like, shit, they're gonna do something. Like I gotta watch them. Like they might score here. Like especially in the O zone. Like if you let McKinnon get possession, you gotta watch out because there's a good chance he's gonna end up in the back of the net.
Yep.
All right.
100% agree.
The Art Ross Trophy. We just talked about him. I have Nathan McKinnon getting the Art Ross Trophy. It's a little bit of a boring pick, but same thing we all explained. This dude might put up 150 points this season.
We can't use McDavid.
I mean, I guess we can't use McDavid. Outside of McDavid, who else would you pick?
I would go. I saw a lot of people really kind of like. I actually kind of forgot about him. Kucherov.
Ooh.
He's still like insane, unbelievable.
Oh yeah, I mean he's also a big reason why Tampa Bay still. I respect it.
Yeah.
He's still a big reason why Tampa Bay's competitive still. Like I know they've played a lot of hockey over the last few years, but he's like by far the best player on their team. I don't know if I'll miss Stamkos a little bit at all. I mean, they do bring in Gensel, but I don't know if you see a little bit of reduction in points getting rid of Stamkos. But
I don't know if you do see a huge drop off in points because I mean Jake Gensel is not the goal scorer that Stamkos is, but Jake Gensel also will pot 40 goals playing with Kucherov. So who knows? Maybe he will become a bona fide goal scorer. Obviously, he doesn't have the shot like Stamkos. He's not just going to sit at the dot and blast 1-Ts on the power play. But who knows? I think Gensel and Kucherov's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, Kucherov I think is his own player. I don't believe that Stamkos leaving will have a huge impact. It wouldn't surprise me, but I don't believe he'll have a huge impact. But obviously, we'll see.
all right, and for my pick for the Art Ross, I want to do maybe a guy that people don't expect is Austin Matthews. I know he's a big goal scorer, but I think he can also probably get 50, 60 assists on top of having, 60 to 70 goals, which is insane to even say. But face it, if he scores 55 goals this year, that's a disappointing season for him.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think that, Matthews, people do forget him. He's probably he would be a lock to win the Rocket, even though we can't even pick him for that stupid Rocket.
Yeah.
I think our Ross is a good pick too, because I think that he can pot enough goals to get up there.
He did have 38 assists last year, 107 points, best year of his career. I think he could still elevate to another level.
It's crazy because if he gets to 60 goals and he puts up 55 assists, I can totally see him winning the Art Ross. And if the Maple Leafs get first in the Atlantic too, he's gonna get the Art Ross. Not the Art Ross, excuse me, the Hart. Fuck.
That's funny.
Okay. All right. So, moving on to the Rocket. I have some guy that a lot of people might throw under the radar. He had 50-plus goals last season. David Pastrnak of the Boston Bruins. He's going to have to step up. In a little bit of Jeremy Swayman's absence, like we stated earlier in the episode, David Pastrnak can put the puck in the back of the net in his sleep, I guess is the right wording. David Pastrnak has been such an underrated goal scorer in his career. I truly think that if it's not Matthews, David Pastrnak wins the Rocket. And if the Rocket will probably go to Matthews, Pasternak's going to be number 2, to be honest with you.
I like that.
I mean, I was going to say Pastrnak. I'm going to try to come up with a second one, so I'll let Nordic go before me. But, yeah, I got to...
Kirill Kaprizov.
Let's go. I fucking love that pick.
That's what I put that on my thing with Bartner. I think that he's going to prove a lot of people wrong this year. He's a little bit forgotten. I used to be so sky high on him, kind of died down a little bit. I'm still high on him. But, I really think he's so – we were talking about, he's so valuable to that Wild team, and I think that he could get an easy 50, 60 goal a year possibly. I wouldn't surprise me. For sure.
Okay. I'm going to go probably a little off the board here. I'm going to go with Philip Forsberg.
Ooh.
I know last year people are saying, probably your career year, you had 48 goals, which I don't think anybody saw coming. With the additions of Stamkos and Marchessault, I really do think he has a chance to elevate his game again. Teams are going to be paying a little bit more extra attention, I think, to Stamkos, especially for the goal scoring, which might leave him open for more goal scoring opportunities, especially with guys like Marchessault and Yossi feed him the puck. I think he could score 50, 60 goals. I don't think last year was his career year. I think he'd still be better. I think he could score. Like I said, 50, 60 goals. I wouldn't be shocked at all.
Yeah, I really do. I do believe that. I think that he's surrounded by a lot of other like really good guys.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to last year, like I can't think of who his line mates were, but he's definitely surrounded by better players now than he was a few years back. So I really do think that could be possible. It's actually like it's kind of a hot take. I can't lie to you.
Oh, I know. It was. I was gonna say pasta.
Spicy.
Then I was gonna say Kaprizov, and I was like, I gotta say something different here.
That's a hot take for sure. I don't really know if I could see that happening, but if it does happen, hey, props to you. You were the one that you were the one that got it right.
Make your bets now if he's even available to bet on for that.
Dude, if Forsberg ends up somehow winning the Rocket, man, we're gonna throw a party. All right. So moving on to the Calder. I'm going with Logan Stankoven of the Dallas Stars. It's crazy. His eligibility is one game. That might be a basic answer. But I think Stankoven, he can put up 55, 60 points. We saw it in the playoffs where he was an impact on the team. We saw it in his 20 games in the regular season after he got called up from the AHL that he was a guy that can fit in the middle six and produce on a night-to-night basis. And I think Stankoven, with the guys around him too, can produce, whether it's offensively, whether it's defensively. I know he's a little bit smaller, so if he comes into the season and he's putting up a decent amount of points, but his defense is lacking, I mean, so what? Like, I mean, what are you going to do about it? So Stankoven will win the Calder, and I think if he doesn't, then it's kind of rigged.
I do just want to say real quick, I'm looking at the betting odds for the Rocket. They have Forsberg at the 6th best odds to win. So
Ooh.
That's not that bad, to be honest with
Might
you.
not be that far off then.
yeah.
Yeah, I like the Stankoven pick. I think people kind of forget a little bit because we know the player who the hype's around right now, but we kind of forget that Stankoven had a pretty good stint in the NHL last year, and he was pretty good in the playoffs too. So I think that's very possible. And people also forget that he barely scraped in with that final last eligible spot for sure. So yeah, I like it. For my Calder winner, I actually have Yuri Kulich. No, I'm kidding. Matt Vinishkov.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Yuri Kulich. I think he could get up in there. I think people kind of forget he's in the league, but I think that Mitchkov's got the tool set to win, and I'm not really going to go in depth with it because people have known that I've been glazing him since he came to Philly. But I think he's gonna do it this year, and I think that he's gonna be the first Flyer ever to win the Calder. It's a boring pick.
It. No, but I like it though. I think that's the most reasonable pick you can have, though. He's gonna win the Calder.
Right.
I mean, is he the betting favorite? He should be.
He should be.
I'm gonna check real quick while you guys go on.
So I remember at his draft, they were hyping him up as like a potential generational player that would have probably been the second or first pick in the draft if it was a Carter Bedard in front of him and he didn't have a contract in the KHL.
I will die on this hill. If they knew that he would have came over after 1 year, he would have gone second to Anaheim. 100%. That's what I thought was going to happen. I didn't think he would drop to us.
Okay.
Yeah. I think teams are really concerned about him willing to be able to go over there.
I was thinking we were going to get Leonard or even freaking Reinbacher.
I thought Washington was going to draft him. Like when he fell to Washington, like when Washington was about to pick before the Flyers, I was like, oh, he's a Capital. He's going to play with Ovi. Like that's a no-brainer.
That's what people thought too. I had a few of my mocks him going there, but he made it clear he wanted to play for Philly. Something that Calder Gauthier didn't.
Real quick before you get into yours, Preston, Michkov is a betting favorite on most of the platforms. Actually, he's a betting favorite on all of them except on, it looks like Caesars, he's tied with Celebrini at plus 425. Also that he's like plus 300 everywhere. So
yeah, I also think that people kind of underrate Celebrini a little bit too. They kind of forget how good he is as well.
Leading into my pick, which is going to be Macklin Celebrini.
Hey!
Wow. I mean, I feel like there's only so many picks you could pick for Rookie of the Year. There might be some rookie that nobody's talking about that goes crazy.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
But with Celebrini, I said, like Nordic said, I think people undervalue him a little bit, underrate him maybe. Because if you look at the San Jose team, he's gonna be in a top 6 role immediately, and they still don't have a great forward group, so he's gonna get a lot of power play time, a lot of towards the end of the game they're down by a goal, they need a goal. He's gonna get a lot of good chances to score. He's probably going to be playing with guys like Toffoli. I would like to see him play with Will Smith. Get that rookie connection going. But I don't think it's out of the question for him to have like 60, 70 points as a rookie, which might sound crazy, but you got to remember San Jose is still a rebuilding young team, and he's going to have plenty of chances to score.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm okay with that pick. I mean, I was just booing you for the screws of it. But I do think Celebrini will at least be a finalist. I would be shocked if he's not a finalist with Michkov. I think it's those two really to run away with it. I mean, after that, like you have my pick, Stankoven. You can throw in Cutter Gauthier in there as well. Lane Hudson, like Nordic mentioned earlier. So the Calder race is going to be fun to watch, to be honest with you. Like, there's probably a good 6 to 7 guys that can realistically all win the trophy or at least minimum be finalists.
There are no 26-year-old Russians, right? Just want to make sure I'm not forgetting about any of them, right?
Nope.
No Panarins this year.
Nope, no Panarins.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So the most coveted trophy of them all, just kidding, the Vezina Trophy. I have a little bit of a scorching hot take with this. I was gonna go with UC Saros. Decided to backtrack that because that was a boring pick. Jacob Markstrom will win the Vezina Trophy of the New Jersey Devils, mainly because last season he was a top 10 goalie analytically on the Calgary Flames. He somehow had a save percentage above 900 on I don't want to say a horrible team, but on a mid team with 81 points. Defense wasn't great. He held in there. Now with the much improved defensive core in front of him, a team that can score and play competent hockey, you get Sheldon Keefe in the locker room, which was one of the most winningest coaches regular season-wise the past 5 seasons with the Maple Leafs. So I think Markstrom, if he wins this thing or at least is a finalist, I won't bat an eye whatsoever.
Okay.
I like it. I think it's very possible because if the Devils really break through and do really and again bounce back, I think we're going to see Sheldon Keefe win the Jack Adams. Again, I'm not saying that that's my prediction, but I think we could see Sheldon Keefe win the Jack Adams, and we could see Markstrom win the Vezina, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 2 guys who could be really possible for it. I want to go hot. I want to go a hot take here so bad, but I don't know if
Go for it.
What do you think, guys? Stuart Skinner.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie, I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. I think if he plays like he did in the playoffs last year, I think that's a real possibility.
I don't know if it's scorching hot. A scorching hot one was if I were to say Corpusalo.
That would be blazing nuclear
outrageous.
Hot.
That's just idiotic.
If we would have said that, I would have left the call.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that with Skinner, people love to hate him. They love to hate Skinner, from what I've noticed. And I think that some of that hate's a little bit undeserved. I think he's better than some people may think. And I think that if the Oilers really do, if they win the President's Trophy this year, if they absolutely pop off, I think that they definitely can. I think that he definitely will get votes and get up there. But a more realistic pick for me would be Connor Hellebuck.
I like that. I like that a lot. I like
regular
both of those
season Connor Hellebuck is great.
I mean,
playoff Connor Hellebuck. Ooh.
There's a reason the Vezina Trophy is a regular season award and it doesn't take into account playoffs. So exactly. Connor Hellebuck's great in the regular season, and who knows? Maybe Stuart Skinner puts up a 920 save percentage and it goes against 2.4, and he's a finalist and is competing with Hellebuck and Saros or just Sirkin, whatever. All right, Preston, who do you have?
I'm going to go with Igor Shesterkin.
I was praying somebody would say him.
Bit of an obvious pick, but this is the last year of his contract. He was amazing for them in the playoffs last year and most of the regular season. I think he goes nuclear this year. He wants to reset the goalie market and be the highest paid goalie in the league. I think a Vezina Trophy winning season with on a potential President's Trophy winning team would probably get him $13 million a year. I don't think that's out of the question. And I think he wants to get paid as much money as he possibly can. And if he goes out and has another Vezina caliber season, I think he will get that contract, and I think he really, really wants it. And I think he'd be a Vezina candidate no matter what. But I think he has a little bit more to prove this year to himself.
I'm gonna say this: if we did take playoffs into account, I think that Shesterkin would have won the last 3 Vezinas.
That is fair.
He's a different guy in the playoffs. It's kind of insane.
He is. I think that's a good pick. I don't hate it at all. That's really all I'm going to say about it. I think it's
an obvious one.
It's the most realistic one. Yeah. I mean, I guess Hellebuck.
Hellebuck, yeah, those are 2 pretty safe picks, I think.
Yeah, I think that it's a good pick.
I like 100%. It. All right. The last award we're going to be doing is a Jack Adams Award. I might be having a little bit of a flaming hot take because I don't have this team necessarily making the playoffs, but I had this team taking a huge jump and just missing by a couple points. Utah's head coach, Andre Turigny. I really hope I pronounced that right. But listen.
Yeah, you said it right.
Okay, sweet. So Clayton Keller gets named captain. Love that pick for Utah. This team's going to have a lot of hype behind them. You go out and you get guys like John Marino, like Sergachev. You end up trading J.J. Moser in the Sergachev trade as well. I just, for some reason, this team is screaming to me that they're going to be way past the point per game mark. They can get up to the 88, 89 points. And sure, maybe he's going to have to win the Jack Adams. I mean, the team's going to have to make the playoffs for him to win the Jack Adams. But even if they miss by a couple points and you look at this team and it's like where they were last season compared to this season with only a couple additions, I think you could really make a strong case to have Andre be the winner of the Jack Adams Award.
I love it. I love it. I think again, first off, it's one of my teams, but I gotta say, I think people kind of they're really high on Utah this year, and if Utah does end up breaking in, I think that Torkney could really win the damn thing, and that's crazy to think because he came in the very first year of the Coyotes rebuild, I guess you want to call it, in 21-22 when they really tore it down. So if it goes full circle and he wins the Jack Adams, that's wild to think. I know you guys wanted to be Lindy Ruff so badly.
It's not gonna be Lindy Ruff.
So badly. And I'm sorry, but I'm gonna roll with Andrew Brunette out of Nashville. I think that they're going to break into a third place spot in that Central this year. I think they're going to be, well, they might even get higher than that, but I think they're going to be right there with Winnipeg. And I think that they're going to be better than they were last year. And I think Brunette's going to get a lot of credit for that. And I think he's going to get some votes and win the damn thing. But I also think Sheldon Keefe and Travis Green could also be guys, and Dan Bylsma too in Seattle. To be honest,
I think Bylsma's a good sleeper pick. I think, yeah, good story for him coming back into the NHL after kind of working his way back up the ladder again.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go with Sheldon Keefe, New Jersey Devils. I think the season he's gonna have this year is gonna make all of Toronto hate him even more because I feel like they already don't like him. But they're going to really hate him when he gets the second round of the playoffs his first year with the Devils. And the Leafs get bounced in the first round again. And Sheldon Keefe wins Coach of the Year when the New Jersey Devils win the Metropolitan Division.
Ooh.
I like it. I like it a lot, to be honest with you.
I don't think they have to win the Metro for him to be a finalist for Coach of the Year. I think just getting them to I think their ceiling is probably they go second in the division. I don't know if they're better than the Rangers, but I think if they do get to second, even third place in the division, and they have a great season, I think he should win the Jack Adams. They already have a pretty strong team, but just for him to, I feel like he's going into a situation that's kind of similar to Toronto, but they have much better depth. They have younger players, and they have a steady goaltender. And I'm really curious to see now what he's going to do with having those pieces he didn't have in Toronto, because I think he was a good coach in Toronto.
Yeah, it's a matter of I think that it's a matter of when he wins it, to be honest, because I feel like he is the favorite.
Yeah,
absolutely without a doubt favorite.
Our Stanley Cup picks. Mine, Preston probably already knows. I'm going to be sticking with these all season. The New Jersey Devils out of the Eastern Conference and the Dallas Stars out of the Western Conference. I have the Dallas Stars winning the entire thing. Dallas, just from top to bottom, forward, core, blue line, goaltending, brings it all. Jake Ottinger will be consistent this season. They can roll 4 lines when they need to. They don't need to shorten the bench. I just think that Dallas, this is their year to finally break through from the Western Conference and not only get in, but also beat a very inexperienced New Jersey team.
You know, I've posted mine already. And I've been kind of rolling with the final from last year, but I might go a little bit different here, kind of a little bit of a hotter take since this has been one of those episodes. I'm gonna roll Edmonton out of the East or out of the East. Yeah, Oilers out of the East, guys. Oilers out of the West. Like I think this is like their last dance. They got to do it. They got to get it done with the money they have. And then out of the Eastern Conference, I'm wearing them right now. The Tampa Bay Lightning.
Wow.
Bruh, no
Spice.
way. No way, dude.
That is.
There are at least 5 or 6 teams that I think are better than Tampa.
I don't disagree with you, but I think it's a matter of.
if they get hot,
do they get vintage Andre Vasilevsky though?
I think that's the only way this happens. I gotta be honest with you. Have you looked at that bottom 6?
To be honest, oh my god, I'm gonna retract real quick. The last time Nordic was on, he did pick the Capitals to beat the Rangers in the first round, and.
No, I didn't.
I think he was just trolling, man. I think I think the Capitals could surprise some people. I think that's what I said.
I will say that might be the greatest clip we've ever had from anybody. So.
Well, it's because I have my boss at work is a Capitals fan, and he was trying to like mix me into telling him that it's gonna happen and that the Capitals.
He's trying to gaslight you into it.
Yes, he was, but I don't believe that anymore. But this is coming from the same person who thought that Chicago would finish above 500 this year.
That is true. That is true. I love.
Hey, it happens.
Listen, Chicago's playoffs, right? Just kidding. Don't take that. Don't take that.
Bedsy 91. Bedsy 140 points.
Oh, Preston.
Wow.
All right, go ahead.
So I agree with Nordic on Edmonton coming out of the West. I think all their chips are in this year. I think they had a strong offseason, bringing in, pieces to help round out more depth scoring, so they don't have to completely rely on Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and Hyman and those guys to score their goals. So I have Edmonton coming out of the West, and out of the East, I have the New York Rangers.
They can't get over the hump. I don't know if they can.
You picked the Devils, man.
The Devils are a better team. Trust me.
I picked Tampa, so I won't comment.
Yeah. Dude, the Rangers won the President's Trophy last year. If they can get their shit together in the playoffs and their top 6 to remember how to score, if they get Igor Shesterkin playing like he did last year in the playoffs, and their top 6 forward, Kreider and Zibanejad and Panarin, those guys can remember how to freaking score, this team's going to be dangerous.
If the Rangers make the Cup final, Igor Shesterkin might have a .940 save percentage. That's what it's going to take. But
what I'm saying is, like, if they go to the playoffs and they're relatively healthy, and Adam Fox was playing injured all playoffs last year. It was obvious, especially in the conference
top
final.
Top 5 defenseman in the league, right?
He did not look like himself. Panarin couldn't freaking score. Kreider, they didn't start scoring until it was too late. But yeah, I do have Edmonton winning the Cup. I do think all the pressure in the world's on them, and I think McDavid will handle it okay. I mean, last year, before the season started, he said it's cup or bust for them, and they got one game away from winning that cup. I think they could do it this year.
This is kind of like the last dance for the Rangers. They said it. It's probably going to be it for them.
Oh, yeah, because then they got to start paying. They got to pay Shesterkin, and then the money's got to move out of the way.
Well, trade Trouba. That might be a thing in disguise.
It's going to be rough trying to trade Trouba this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't mean to like rain down on your take, but it is kind of like, a basic take, but it still is good.
Oh, like, I know it's a basic take, but yeah, I mean, I'm just looking.
I'm not trying to I'm not trying to degrade it, but like I'm just saying, like it's good. It definitely can happen. I just don't know. Like I feel like I've been saying Edmonton Rangers the last 2 years, and the Rangers are the team that just can't do it for some reason.
I completely agree with you. Like, they have great regular season, in the playoffs they just can't score.
I will say before we move on, if they fix their 5v5 scoring, I think it's possible. They can't just rely on power play to get them to the cup. I will say that.
I agree.
I will say
Absolutely.
that. All right. So we'll do like a little bit speed run, maybe a little bit. But buy or sell, we have 4 bullet points that I'm going to bring up to you guys. Let me know if you guys would buy or sell. Pretty self-explanatory. We already talked about Ovi breaks Gretzky's all-time goals record this season. Buy or sell?
Sorry.
Buy.
I like
I'm
that.
buying it.
Buy or sell, can Kaprizov win the Hart Trophy?
I'm selling that.
There's no middle. I can't sit on
You
it.
just
Well,
put
I don't like how can he? Of course, it's possible. Will he? Probably not.
Yeah, I'll probably sell that, to be honest.
Okay,
with you.
all right, haters. Buy or sell, the Sabres break their drought.
Sell.
I'll give credit to you. I thought you were gonna say buy.
I say buy every year. I don't want to get disappointed again.
I mean, hey, if you say sell, they might make it. I'm gonna go sell too. I just don't think they're ready with that current roster.
Buy or sell, the Nashville Predators are a Stanley Cup contender.
Buy.
I'm buying it.
Buying it, I have to sell that one. Not high on them. Really. I think they're a playoff contender. They'll get in the playoffs, but I think maybe they'll prove me wrong. But Cup contender, I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit. I know they had a ton of additions.
They are all in this year, so.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe I wouldn't put them in the same tier as like Edmonton, Florida, Dallas, but I think they're still they're in there.
Yeah, I think they're in that conversation. Yeah.
Like
They have 3 first-round picks. Like if they can trade one of them at the trade deadline and get like a top 6 forward, like their depth is loaded.
Yeah, it might turn. It might change by the deadline where they're having a phenomenal season. They use one of those draft picks, trade him for a top 6 guy, and all of a sudden this team becomes one of the best teams in the entire league. So
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's just a matter of can all those guys mesh together too? Like Washington's a big example of that as well. Like they got a lot of new players. Can all of these guys mesh together? It's the biggest question.
Yeah, I think with Nashville, it wouldn't shock me if I got off to a bit of a slow start, especially with bringing in a guy like Stamkos, just Marchessault, get him used to the system. It's gonna be. I mean, I got used to seeing Stamkos in a freaking Predators jersey. That's gonna be the weird thing for me.
it looked weird his first preseason game. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, yellow just doesn't look right on him. I'm so used to seeing the blue and white. It's just different.
Yeah.
I know we planned on to do trivia, but I'm scrolling through these questions, and they are the most basic ones of all time.
Well, I got some buys or sells for y'all.
All right,
Okay.
shoot.
Buy or sell Kyle Connor getting 45 goals.
I'm buying that. I like Kyle Connor a lot.
I'm gonna sell, but I'm tiptoeing around it because if he gets 45, I won't be shocked. But I mean,
He's done it before.
I know he's done it before, but I'm gonna sell. I'm gonna sell for now.
Buy or sell Kings missed the playoffs.
Sell.
Ooh,
Actually, wait, hold on. I can't go back on my prediction. I have to look. I kind of.
I'm
forgot.
selling that. I'm selling that. I think the Kings are at least good enough to be a wild card team.
I'm going to buy that. I have them missing the playoffs right now, so.
Okay. Buy or sell Vegas winning the division.
Sell.
I'm gonna sell that. I think Edmonton is the clear favorite. I would be honestly shocked if Vegas ends up winning it.
Same.
Okay. Buy or sell Flyers break into the playoffs. I know we kind of talked about that a little bit, but
I'm selling that. I think just with how loaded the East is right now, and I think the Flyers are still in the midst of a rebuild. I think they'll be better, but I don't think they're there yet.
I'm selling it mainly because John Tortorella seems doesn't like the goaltending. Did he say that it was scary, that it was not good looking, or that it was scary, it's really good?
I have no freaking.
I don't know the context.
I mean, does anybody understand Tortorella?
With Tortorella, I never know half the time.
Man, I love Tortorella, man. He's awesome.
They also like to just blow some of the stuff he says way out of proportion.
Yeah,
I will say this, and I have one more after this, but we'll wrap up with this. Tortorella is the only coach in the league where I can watch his press conferences.
Oh, he's a riot.
They're
I love
entertaining,
watching
I
him.
will say.
Yes, like he is so funny.
especially when
Like,
he's yelling at reporters.
I want someone so badly to put together like just a montage of all of his
I'm
stuff.
sure there's one on YouTube somewhere.
I'm sure there is, but
Yeah.
oh my god.
My favorite thing with him ever is when he went when he was coaching Vancouver, he went to the Flames locker room ready to fight the whole other team.
Yep. That's the best moment.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I got one more for you guys to wrap up. Rasmus Dahlin wins the Norris.
Bye.
So I'm selling that.
Oh, I'm buying it. I know literally, like, what was it? Last week's episode, I argued that he wasn't a top 5 defenseman when you said it. Now we're flip-flopping here because I think he wins the Norris. I think that, listen, Rasmus Dahlin, I have him on the fringe of, like, a borderline top 5 guy. But at this point, it feels like just every defenseman, elite defenseman, is taking turns winning the Norris right now. Like, I just feel like at this point, whoever puts up the most points as a D-man gets the Norris.
I don't like that, though. I don't like how that's turned, like the Norris is turned into a who has the most points as a defenseman thing, because it's supposed to be the best defenseman.
This guy loves to make contradicting statements. I'm just saying, like, I agree with you with the Dahlin thing, but you say he's gonna win the Norris, and then you say he's not a top 5 defenseman. I don't know, man. That doesn't.
He can
doesn't
be.
compute.
Listen, he can be a borderline top 5 guy and still win the Norris, because even if he wins the Norris, Cale Makar is still better. I think Adam Fox is a better overall player than him. I still think Yossi's better than him, and Hughes, etc. The list goes on. So,
no, man, I'm not hating on you at all.
I mean, I don't buy that argument, but I also think I was the one saying that Dahlin was top 5, but
and here you are making a contradicting statement. Come on, dude.
he could be. What?
What about starters?
I mean, I think the Norris Trophy every year going forward is going to be Cale Makar's to lose. So
I don't hate that. Yeah. Or Quinn Hughes. Or
yeah.
Adam.
But like I was saying, I feel like the last couple of years it's been whoever has the most points wins the Norris. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
Yeah, you're right. It really has become like an offensive defenseman award, to be honest with you.
I hate it. Like, just make I know it's been brought up millions of times. Like, either make 2 separate awards or make things right. But the NHL will never do either of those things.
Like Cale Makar I could justify because he can score great offensively and he's good defense. He's a complete defenseman. So.
He did have a little bit of a step back analytically defensively this season, but it was still better than most guys in the league, which is crazy because the year before he was 99th percentile in offense and 98th in defense, which is nuts.
No, he's legit. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
He's really good.
That's going to end it for today's episode. Thank you guys for joining us. Nordic, again, thank you for joining us on probably our longest episode we've ever done, so thank you for being a part of that. And go follow Nordic on all of his socials, Nordic97. Are there any other socials that have a different name that they can find you on?
Yeah, I mean, just thanks for letting me come on. I hope you guys spell my name right on the podcast next time. I'm just kidding. You guys spelled it wrong last time. I was like, what the hell?
He spelled it wrong. He does all the stuff. Yeah.
It's okay. But I mean, just Nordic97 on YouTube, Nordic97_IG on Instagram, and then Nordic97 on TikTok. But I mean, you don't have to follow me. I mean, these guys do great stuff. I listen to all their stuff like every time I'm at work. I'm sure I work tomorrow, so I'm going to probably be listening to this again. But yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on. It's awesome.